Let's talk week 3 sleepers and 2-star pitchers up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, April 4th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and let's dive into our week 3 preview, beginning with the schedule. We have 26 teams with 6 games next week. We have 4 teams with 7 games. The Red Sox, Royals, Twins, and Blue Jays. What about the Rockies? They do have 3 games in Coors Field against the Brewers, and they have 3 on the road at the Padres. Start or sit these 2-star pitchers next week. And normally, Freddie Peralta is just set it and forget it, but he's at Colorado and at the D-backs. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, Colorado, it looks like the temperatures are going to be up at the start of next week, so I think it'll be a tough place to pitch. But Peralta's look great so far, and I think in a 2-start week, you just roll with them.
What about Justin Steele, who has had problems with home runs so far? He's home against the Rangers and at the Dodgers.
Yeah, tough matchups. Normally we think of Justin Steele as must start, but with the kind of start he's off to and then 2 bad matchups, I could understand sitting him in a categories league if you want to prioritize ERA and whip over strikeouts and wins. But I think in points leagues, I definitely start Steele. And no, it's about a 50-50 whether I'd start him in a roto league. So I do have him in the advisable in most cases section of the 2-start pitcher rankings.
Chris often calls Jose Barrios the random number generator. He's at the Red Sox and at the Orioles, so pretty tough matchups.
Yeah, so on a start-to-start basis, he is kind of a random number generator, but then you look at the end of the season and the numbers are such that you probably are happy if you just leave him in your lineup. So I'd be reluctant to pick and choose when to play Jose Barrios. Matchups are kind of tough, but it is a 2-start week, and attrition hasn't really kicked in at pitcher yet, so maybe you have some guys on your bench you'd consider moving in. Again, points league, not a consideration because the downside risk is less in that format. You just want the volume. But it's sort of like Justin Steele, where maybe a coin flip whether you start Barrios in categories leagues.
And then Tanner Houck is home against the Blue Jays and at the White Sox. Not a guarantee that he'll make that second start, and he's pretty fringy as is.
Yeah, the reason it's not a guarantee is because the Red Sox being one of 4 teams with 7 games, in theory, that means they have 2 2-star pitchers. Somebody Monday, Saturday, somebody Tuesday, Sunday. But in recent years, we've seen a lot of times that Tuesday starter in a 7-game week doesn't end up making that Sunday start because without an off day, the team inserts a 6th man and bumps the Tuesday guy back. So I'd be more reluctant to go with to presume a guy who's starting Tuesday is going to make 2 starts in a 7-day week, 7-game week. They're all 7-day weeks, 7-game week. And especially since the second start is the great one, the White Sox start, how not looking so great so far. I probably avoid it outside of points leagues.
All right, Scott, who are some 2-star pitchers that you are looking to add and stream for the upcoming week?
Casey Mize is making 2 starts. The first is against the Yankees, which is scary, but then he's at Minnesota, who the Twins, they've had some trouble so far on the offensive side. Mize looked great in his first start with the splitter, playing up extra velocity on that. I think he's your best choice if you're scouring the waiver wire for 2-star pitchers, even with that tough Yankees matchup. Hayden Wesneski has better matchups overall at Seattle versus LA Angels. But I don't think he's as good as Mize. I don't think you can count on him being as effective just because the matchups are favorable. Still, relief pitcher eligible is Wesneski, and I think in points leagues, for sure he's a good play. Highly available, almost 80% of CBS Sports leagues. I also like Shane Smith, who is another RP-eligible pitcher at Cleveland versus the Red Sox. So middling matchups, I would say, but he does get 2 of them. And does have some swing and miss in his arsenal. We did see him kind of run out of steam in the 5th inning of his first start of the year. So maybe the win potential isn't where you'd want it to be, particularly since he pitches for the White Sox. But If you're looking to add to your volume in a head-to-head points league, I think Shane Smith is another possibility who's available in almost 90% of CBS Sports leagues.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back in FBT Express. We are previewing week 3. And Scott, who are some one-start streamers that you do like for next week?
We got Chris Bubich at Cleveland. We've got Drew Rasmussen against the Braves, who are off to a terrible start offensively. I think there'll be a bad pitcher matchup at some point, but Drew Rasmussen is good enough that even if they come alive next week, he might do okay. And maybe they won't come alive next week. Who knows? Brady Singer gets the Pirates, who are a favorable matchup, and he's looked better with the addition of a 4-seamer, emphasizing that along with the 2-seamer this year. Then you got Jose Soriano, ground ball pitcher, generally a good floor on a start-to-start basis. He's at the Rays, which is a decent matchup. Nick Martinez at San Francisco. David Peterson at the Athletics, ground ball pitcher. So even if that is a hitter-friendly environment, I don't think he'll be as affected by it.
All right, let's slide over to the hitters and the best hitter matchups for next week. We have the Mets, Padres, Red Sox, Brewers, and Reds. The worst hitter matchups: Cardinals, Rangers, Mariners, Braves, and Yankees. Scott, who are your favorite sleeper hitters under 75% rostered on CBS?
So I will say that the most interesting hitters who are available in that range didn't necessarily line up with the most favorable matchups. So I tend to lean toward I like this hitter versus I like this matchup this week for sleeper hitters. So we got Jake Cronenworth at the top, and he kind of meets both of those standards in that the Padres have the second best hitter matchups. And also I just think he's a fine starter anyway, Jake Cronenworth. Available in nearly half of CBS leagues. Rhys Hoskins, not off to the greatest start, but I buy into the profile, and the Brewers have that series at Colorado. Kyle Manzardo might be one of the biggest risers among all hitters this year. He is only DH eligible on CBS, but he opens with a series against the White Sox. Those are all right-handers. The second series this week does have 2 left-handers. Still not clear how much Manzardo is going to play against left-handers. He looked great in the season opener against a left-hander, but then sat out against the second one the Guardians faced. So a little bit of risk there with Manzardo, but I think he's a good hitter. And Spencer Torkelson, another big riser. Tigers matchups are okay, but I think among hitters who are available in that many CBS Sports leagues, Torkelson's high on the list. Max Kepler is available in like 3/4 of CBS leagues, playing every day. Looks like the adjustments he's made with hitting coach Kevin Long are paying off. I think he's one of the most under-rostered hitters, period, is Max Kepler. And you got to like the 3 games he has against the Cardinals pitching staff especially. TJ Friedel, leadoff hitter for the Reds. They have the 5th best hitter matchups this week. Trevor Story has a homer and a couple steals already. Red Sox have the 3rd best hitter matchups. Ryan Mountcastle, off to a slow start, but the Orioles face some homer-prone pitchers this week, like Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, Bowden Francis, and Jose Barrios. I hope that's enough to get Ryan Mountcastle going. Hunter Goodman, playing virtually every day for the Rockies as a catcher-eligible player, batting cleanup. They get their first series of the year at Coors Field. Chance for him to show off what he can do there. And finally, Otto Lopez, if you need middle infield help, off to a hot start, showing surprising power. And we know he has speed as well from all the bases he stole last year.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.